All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, as always, to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rachah Quadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of GMS who rule well, and also honor and salutation to those of you who are of the hopeful elect and are out there teaching the word in sincerity and truth. All right. So, today I wanted to talk about something that I heard the elder Yashawamba say on one of his videos that I seen recently. I don't know when he did it, but I just saw it a day or two ago. I woke up this morning thinking about it, and he made this statement that we were being persecuted on the news to a degree, right? I think it's going to get a lot worse than it has been, but we were being persecuted on the news, and we went harder here at GMS. We didn't taper off our level of effort, and I didn't even think of it like that. And it gave me some perspective, and I was like, wow, that's true, because when you're in a situation, especially when you're like, for instance, right, I'll give you an example. I think that's not it. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is it right here. Let me see. This is Matthew 26 and 73, and this is the story of Peter. What happened to him when he was not when his back is against the wall. That's not how I want to say it. But when trouble came, how his mentality changed for that split moment. It says this, and after a while came unto him they that stood by, and said to Peter, surely thou also art one of them, for thy speech bewrayeth thee. Then began he to curse and swear, saying, I know not the man. And immediately the cock crew. So, when you're in danger, right? Your first instinct is to flee, right? But we remained fastened. Matter of fact, I just thought of another scripture. This is oops. This is Wisdom of Solomon 5:1. It says, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, and made not in no account of his labors. You see, and this is what we're doing, man. And being bold, and I can't stress this enough, is not being a troublemaker. Us being out there pleading our case is bold enough. You don't have to do anything extra to be bold, right? But that comment stood out to me, man, and I was when you have one of those eye-opening moments, like, man, that's true, man. I didn't even think of it that way. And then from there I watched a video that the elder Apostle Bar did from a video that he was watching about from Elder Apostle Tahar about diligence, and he spoke to vision, but diligence is something that I wanted to talk about, but in a slightly different way. We have to have a level of deliberate living in this truth, right? Living deliberately, living on purpose, and not just going through the motions, right? When you have vision, as the elder apostle Gabar talked about, there's a level of purpose and drive that you have to have and that you should have. Being in this truth, it's very easy to get complacent, especially if you have a comfortable couch. that you sink down into that couch, and especially after a long day of work, you don't feel like doing anything. It's very easy to fall into that spirit. So you have to have a level of purpose, purpose and drive and living your life in this truth deliberately, being proactive, and that's what I wanted to speak to today. So first I want to go here to oops, no, that's not right. This is Colossians 1:29. It says whereunto I also labor, striving according to his working, which worketh in me mightily, right? So I wanted to show you this word, striving, here. Right. So this is check that out.
Strong's G75. Agonizomai,
right? Which makes me think of the word agony, right? Or pain, right? Let's look that word up, right? Really quick. Right? Agony, extreme physical or mental suffering. See? Pain, hurt, suffering, torture, torment, anguish, affliction, trauma, right? You see that? So let's go down here. Look at that. Look at the strive, fight, labor fervently, right? To enter a contest, contend in the gymnastic games, to contend with adversaries, fight, right? So if you look at this truth as a fight, right? You look at you think of a boxing match. Imagine if Muhammad Ali was the type to cower when he got hit hard, or if somebody when he fought George Foreman. Granted, I wasn't alive. I just I've seen highlights and different documentaries about it, and when he fought George Foreman, people thought George Foreman was going to kill that guy, and quite frankly, George Foreman was a bad dude back then, and he could have. But Muhammad Ali took the approach that I'm a fight, and he ended up beating the guy, right? Heavily the underdog, but still ended up beating the guy. And we have to take that same mentality, even though because as we go through this fight, we're gonna take more and more licks, right? We don't get the jab. Right now, the news thing was a jab. That was a jab, but then. Them haymakers is gonna come out, and that as you move along in the fight, you start fighting with what? Fatigue, right? So now you're not just fighting the guy, but you're trying to fight through your fatigue, right? And as you get fatigued, your guard drops a little bit, right? Then that your opponent is able to get in there, get the gut, and then you drop your guard a little lower, then he start hitting you in the head, right? So even through those licks, you still have to be purposeful, still walking forward, walking the opponent down into that final blow, man. Right? It says metaphorically, to contend, struggle with difficulties and dangers, to endeavor with strenuous zeal, Wow. Right? Let's look up this word, endeavor. It's a good word. Right? Endeavor. It says try hard to do or achieve something. You see? And that's what we're doing, man. This is why we could take such a lick, right, and still stand up firmly in this truth. What else? There's nothing else better than the kingdom. And you have to think to yourself, there's nothing that anyone can say or do to take me away from my fight, man. You know, matter of fact, that brings me to yeah, I'll go there first. I'm gonna have to split this up because I'm running short on time here. This is Romans 8. Yeah, there it is, down there. This is Romans 8:31. It says, what shall we say then to these things? If the Most High be for us, who can be against us? He that spared not his own son, but delivered him up for us all, how shall he not with him also freely give us all things? Who shall lay anything to the charge of the Most High's elect? It is God that justifieth. Who is he that condemneth? It is Hamashiach that died, yea, rather that is risen again, who is given at the right hand of the Most High, who also maketh intercession for us. Who, right? Check that out. After he says all that the Lord Yahushua has done for us, then he says this: who shall separate us from the love of Hamashiach? Right? You know, so in other words, you know, your purpose or your drive should be motivated by what the Lord Yahushua did for you. He died so that you could have a chance, man. And that should be, the impetus behind what it is you do, right? So it says, who shall separate us from the love of Hamashiach? Shall tribulation, or distress, or persecution, or famine, or nakedness, or peril, or sword? As it is written, for thy sake we are killed all the day long. We are accounted as sheep for the slaughter, right? Nay, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. For I am persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of the Most High, which is in Hamashiach, Yahushua, our Lord. You see? So that's the mindset you should be in. I don't care what it is. Nothing is going to shake me from this truth. And that's the mindset you should have. And if you don't have that mindset, you should pray for it. And even if you do have that mindset, you should pray to maintain it. Because that's what we're going to need. We're going to need a level of perseverance in this truth. Okay, so let me go to this. I don't remember what that one says. I'll go here. Oops. 1 Corinthians 9:24. This is 1 Corinthians 9:24. It says, know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize, so run that ye may obtain, right? So now the analogy of a race is being given, right? When you get to that last leg of the race, you don't take a step back. You don't taper off your pace. No, you run even harder at that last leg, so that you can finish. You see that? I'll keep going here. It says, and every man that striveth for mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so fight I not as one that beateth the air, but I keep under my body and bring into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself shall be a castaway. Right? So this is important, this part here. Right? Not as uncertainly, right? So fight I is not as one that beateth the air, which means what? I'm not taking these steps in vain, right? I'm not taking these swings in vain. I swing to connect. I run to win, right? And that speaks to perseverance, man. I'm not doing this for no reason. You have to have purpose. You have to have drive, right? And there's different levels of it, right? Whatever your level of drive is, that's the level you should have. Whatever your capacity is, you should work to fulfill it, right? All right, so let me go here to this one here. This is Hebrews 6:10. It says, "For the Most High is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love, which ye have showed toward his name, and that ye have ministered to the saints and do minister." You see? Ooh. Verse 11. "And we desire that every one of you do show the same diligence to the full assurance of hope unto the end." God, I wasn't even going to read 11. Let's look up this right here. This is what I want.
Strong's G 4136. Pleirafaria. Pleirafaria.
Pleirafaria. Right? Full assurance, full assurance. Most certain, confident. You see? You see that? That's beautiful, man. I wasn't even going to read that one. Let's see what 12 says. That ye be not slothful, but followers of them who through faith and patience inherit the promises. You see that? Man, that's beautiful, man. All right. Yeah, so I think that's it. So hopefully that was edifying. It was just something I woke up thinking about this morning, and I want to put it out there, get it on paper, as they say. So with that, I hope that was edifying, and until the next time, I say shalom.